and welcome to another edition of our ETF Insight series, where we chat with leaders, innovative leaders from the ETF and digital assets ecosystem. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by my friend Jillian DelSignore, who is head of ETFs and Indexing at FLX Distribution. Jillian, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Likewise, it's great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So why don't we just kick it off and tell us about FLX Distribution and your new role there?
Absolutely. Not that we need more acronyms in our life, but FLX is a resource and asset management platform, a RAMP. And if I'm speaking to you from a sort of a distribution lens and to an asset manager, think about it as a technology-enabled modular distribution solution. I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but essentially we provide support as needed to ETF issuers or any asset manager for that matter, based on where they fall in their life cycle. So not all asset managers need the same amount of distribution strategy and support at any phase of their life cycle. And so we've taken a completely modular approach to that and providing more than just the human capital. I mean, you've been in distribution for a long time and you know, it's not just about the people. The people are certainly going to be the most expensive asset you have, and not everybody needs that. And so we're here to provide certainly the people, national accounts, sales support, but also marketing, media, video, data, technology. It all matters. It's all a solution around distribution. And so we're here to provide that in a modular fashion based on what the asset manager needs. But at the core, on the platform, we really have created a marketplace that brings together those asset managers, wealth management home office professionals, and advisors into a marketplace. So we're about to launch, actually October 1st, our advisor experience. And so what advisors are going to be able to do is come into the platform as a member, doesn't cost anything, come in as a member of FLX and access not only asset managers, of which we're servicing, providing distribution support to, but also resources. Resources in the form of our solutions partners, things like portfolio construction, model portfolios, advisor coaching, marketing support, website design, technology support, all sorts of resources and research in the form of FLX Intelligence. And it's been fantastic so far. We have 6 issuers today, with certainly more coming behind. And with, I know you know as well as anybody, with the way the regulatory change has happened in the ETF industry, those barriers to entry have come down and more issuers are coming into the market in need of distribution solutions.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting because there's actually, here in Europe as well, there's definitely a big need for with those some of those, smaller firms or new entrants into the ETF space. They really need kind of like what we found is like the biggest need that they have is in that distribution part of the ETF ecosystem. So since I'm mentioning Europe and Blackwater, we wrote this dual joint piece 6 months ago, and it was basically, kind of a recap of basically the changes that occurred in the beginning of 2020 during the pandemic and from a distribution standpoint, and we kind of highlighted some of those trends. Do you still see that those trends that we outlined are kind of sticking and will go forward? And also, of the ones that we highlighted, which of those do you think has been the most impactful in terms of kind of that old model before the pandemic?
And it's funny, I was actually talking about some of those themes on Friday. I moderated a virtual panel, again, COVID, right? Everything's virtual still. A virtual panel for the MMI Distribution Leader Forum. And we talked about that. And I think, what COVID did was just accelerate changes that were already happening, right? This move to a more tech-enabled distribution approach, I don't think is going to change. I know is not going to change. Are we going to be 100% virtual forever? No, absolutely not. In my opinion, absolutely not. And I think that's what we heard from the distribution leaders we interviewed. There will be a happy medium. We will fall into that medium. I think it's starting to happen now. What is not going to change is, I think, the use of technology. I'll leave data out for a second because data, I think, I know, was taking hold with or without COVID, right? People were going to use data to drive activity, engagement, et cetera. But technology, whether it's virtual interactions with clients, not flying across the country for 1 or 2 meetings, that's going to stay. I think we use a new technology that allows us to video message one another, right? So quick snippets to our clients. So if I'm doing a board meeting presentation, for example. I can capture the bulk of the slides in a video, send it in advance, and we can spend the time at the board meeting talking about actual action items, right? So using technology as a way to communicate, to share stories with colleagues. There's a host of things that you can use to enhance the distribution solution and strategy that I don't think are going to go away. I do think we're going to be back in the field. Some firms are already back in the field, but I do believe this more hybrid approach, if I could, to selling is going to maintain.
So one of the other trends, I guess if you call it a trend, that we're seeing a lot is, the mutual fund firms that are either converting existing mutual fund products into ETFs or just entering the space. And so one of the questions that actually came up while we were doing those interviews for the distribution report and just kind of in general is what is the best way for them to structure their sales team? So for example, do they train their existing sales members on ETFs, or do you do something where you bring in ETF specialists from the outside and just create a whole new team, or a combination? I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, just because I've had a lot of experience with the heading up distribution teams.
This is a fairly loaded question. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's so dependent on the firm and their existing capabilities. Do they have a sales team that has a very high RIA kind of exposure, right? Are they really well covered in RIAs, or are they better covered in wires and independent broker dealers? And I say that because the RIAs are the community that are going to be able to buy these ETFs right out of the gate, largely. And so you're going to want to have people focus there. They also tend to be the heaviest users of ETFs. And so if you have an embedded team that's already have a lot of strong relationships, it's going to be challenging to bring in a specialist team that's trying to call on those same clients. But I think in short, in the absence of being able to do a diagnostic on every one of these firms, I think it is certainly dependent on their existing distribution strategy and resources. But all that aside, I think there is huge value, whether it's 1, 2, or 10 ETF specialists embedded in your organization. I think it's important to have that DNA at the firm. It's necessary to help train your existing sales team, to be there to be the phone a friend, and to bring that credibility to the ETF ecosystem that you are committed to this. And the clients are going to want it, right? Especially those that are more savvy and the larger users of ETFs, they want that expert to engage with. And you need that expert to engage with the marketplace, right? The ecosystem, all the different players. You need that person who's going to be able to connect all the dots for your organization as well.
Jillian, thank you so much for your time today. This was really interesting. It was fun having you here. And for anyone who's watching the video, if you want to learn more about FLX Distribution, you can reach out to Jillian directly, or you can go to their website, which is flxdst.com. And thank you for watching.
Thanks so much.